involved in decisions to be able to appeal decisions that they disagree with, and all that does increase the complexity. But I think it also leads to a more lasting product in the end, because the days of a couple of people determining the fate of thousands or even millions of acres of land, those days are over. People are more interested in the land and open space today than they've ever been, and it makes our job more complex. We, on a single decision, for example, the roads policy that I just proposed this spring, we had 60,000 comments nationwide, and the advantage of that public process is it puts everybody on an even plane. John Q. Public, industry, constituency groups, everybody has an opportunity to have a say.
That was the no new roads or something called?
Yeah, that was a temporary suspension, yes, of road building in roadless areas. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a controversial issue.
I've read, although I haven't talked to Glenn Roberts, that it doesn't affect some of the forests in northern Wisconsin and Minnesota that much.
They're all roaded anyway. It really has more to do with more rugged areas out west, doesn't it? Where the erosion quotient on the new road and unroaded areas is much higher than it is here.
Yes. Yeah. And I think what Lynn is probably talking about is the effect. It doesn't affect the timber harvest in this area like it could in some areas. But the interesting thing with going into these roadless areas, and this applies more to the west than it would here locally, is that these are typically controversial areas to begin with. First of all, there's a reason they're roadless. Either the timber values have been too low, or the topography has been so tough to get into that it's too expensive, and so that's the reason they're still roadless. And the other part of that is from a business decision. There's a high failure rate of projects in those areas because people appeal and litigate, and they basically don't want most of these areas disturbed. And this is led to, my first comment was that we've got to, continually search for, light on the land technologies to manage. People are less and less tolerant of soil disturbing activities. And as we look at the value of water and watersheds, the cleanest water in the United States is flowing off of our forests, and that's the way people want it.
There's an example of light logging techniques over on the good old days site. It's horse logging.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that the one Jim Henschel is doing?
No, it's a fellow named Jim Paddock and Albert Isaacson. They're both from Herbster, North Shore.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
South Shore.
So we could.
Work to provide more certainty to industry. So as industry and others are, there's certainty if they need to make investments, they need to make long-term projections, or the jobs, are important, but also, the risks. You look at.
Look at that big fish.
Look at those. Look at them. Here, look at this. The concert will be starting activities up there about 6 o'clock. We've got a number of things going on between 6 and 7, including pie and ice cream. Just want to make sure that you get an opportunity to participate in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm going to turn it over to Andy for a few minutes for a few words.
Hi, I'm Andy Marple-Whitwer, and I'm just so glad to see all you folks here, and we're just so excited to see Mike come back home. He's a Moose guy, and it's just wonderful to have him come home and make this presentation with us, and to take time out of his very busy schedule. My mom wanted to be here today. She said that nice Dombey boy is going to be coming back, and that nice Dombey boy really is a nice Dombey boy. Mr. Dombeck, when he was very young, impressed both of my parents very much, and they always said that he was going places. And you know, you look at the nice face in the Visitor magazine and you say, oh, nice boy, he sure writes good. And you read his stuff every 2 weeks when the paper comes out, and you say, gee, what a nice boy. And years later, you suddenly realize that, gosh, that nice boy is like an important nice guy. And I guess it teaches you the importance of keeping track of each other in a small town, and just staying with everything. We're just so thrilled to have him here, and I hope you guys will give him a great reception today, and he'll be again tonight with us at the John Philip Sousa concert. We wanted to give him a t-shirt and his own good old days sesquicentennial event mug, and these are going to be donated by us to him for coming all the way from Washington D.C. and all of his crew, and thanks to all of them, and thanks to the guy from all of you folks from the Forest Service and from the DNR and from the National Park Service. They've been with us all along in the planning process of this project. Just thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, well, I've got a little experience with the Forest Service myself, 21 years, so I know what these guys do for a living, and they're a pretty good bunch of folks. So we've had a lot of assistance from the local Forest Service people and the regional people and the forest people over our 4-day event. We sure want to thank them for that, and thank their big boss in Washington D.C., Mr. Mike Dombeck. And I guess without saying anything else, Mike, are you here? There you go. Welcome back to Heyward. Nice to meet you.
Well, I thank you, and what a pleasure it is to be back home here, sort of getting renewed and reconnecting with the old friends that I haven't seen for a long time, and some really old friends like James Klippel back there, my high school physics teacher. Jim, I want you to know that my daughter is in the audience, and she got an A in physics. And that's something that I can't brag of having. I think I got a B, but we had a lot of fun. At any rate, it just is a wonderful. I had some neat experiences today. A couple of things that Heyward is important for is I watched a youngster about 8 years old catch his first fish. And the interesting thing was that his dad had never caught a fish, and neither had his brother or sister. And you know what that family is going to be doing from here on out. And the second thing I got to do is I got to at least hold on to the reins of Jim Paddock's draft horse. And I was telling Jim how as a kid out at Moose Lake, one of the things that we used to get to do was to ride the workhorses from logging job to logging job. But I had never had any experience pulling logs. So I need more practice, I know, Jim, but that's okay. We appreciate doing that. I think this is symbolic of the importance of what the forests and the open space and the public lands have to this county. And people said, well, it's hot in that tent. I said, I know it's hot in that tent. I won't talk very long, but this Sawyer County crowd, they're a tough bunch, and we can deal with that. The 191 million acres of National Forest System lands across the United States, I think, are of increasing importance to all Americans. It's a quality of life thing. It's an open space thing. It's a fish and wildlife habitat. It's hunting and fishing and stable local economies and wood fiber and recreation opportunities. And there are social changes going all around us as I look at the Moose Lake area. And I want to just give you one example of how the social changes have occurred. I owned a place right next to some property that Larry Briggs has. And when I bought the place in 1968, the picture window faced the road. Right, Larry? And all the places were built that way. And about the mid-60s, the American values changed. We began to appreciate the scenic beauty of the area, the wildlife, and all those houses turned around, and now the picture windows face the lake. And I think that exemplifies some of the changes that have gone on. And you know, some of those changes have not been comfortable. And one of the things in this job, and I've been in this job now about 18 months, is we get embroiled in a lot of controversy. And this is why we developed the Natural Resources Agenda, that we have a video that we want to show you. See, I figure you've heard me talk enough here in Heyward. So, and then it's really the direction that the Forest Service is going, tied around watershed values, tied around recreation values, tied around values of sustainable forest management, and dealing with all the issues that we deal with. So I will stop talking, and let's take a look at a video about the Forest Service Natural Resources Agenda, developed by Forest Service employees, experts in what they do, constituency groups that we deal with. So George, let's roll it. But people all across the country that really care. As we developed the Natural Resources Agenda, one of the things that I focused on was in an organization of 30,000 employees. How is it that you encourage people to move forward with an agenda like that? And I have a method that I want to ask Lynn Roberts to come up for. I decided to start a grants program. And I'm here to announce today that the Chequamegon National Forest is going to receive the first Chiefs grant for the Natural Resources Agenda for a project entitled Linkages in the North Country, Enhancing Keystone Species Through Exhibit and Demonstration. And one of the key criteria, in addition to fitting the Natural Resources Agenda, was partnerships and working with people. And because people are our delivery system. All the people that use the resource, that appreciate the resource. And the partners in this project are, in addition to the Forest Service, the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, U.S. Navy, National Park Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Wisconsin State Historical Society, and the area Chambers of Commerce. And I'm here, Lynn, to present you with $45,000 as our contribution to move forward.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Well, and just a special thanks again for the recognition. It's just wonderful to be able to come back home and meet old friends and see the progress that's occurred here in the Heyward area, and see people still having fun catching fish, enjoying the outdoors, and running draft horses and all those things that we do. So thank you all, and have a wonderful afternoon. Congratulations.
Thank you. Great, we'll get some more next
Get some.
year.